with us and sharing some impressions on the first week of these wonderful Olympic Games Paris 2024. I think what we can say so far and what has become clear to everybody, France and the French people have welcomed the world with open arms and open hearts, and have given the world a glimpse of France and a glimpse of the passion of the French people for sport. This is France completely in love with the Olympic Games in the city of love, Paris, but not only in Paris, but overall in France, and therefore I would like to congratulate Tony and his team again for creating this welcoming atmosphere, and also for creating the slogan "Games Wide Open." It could not be a more appropriate slogan for these games. Millions on the streets of Paris, full venues everywhere, an unrivaled atmosphere at the swimming, at the rugby, at the sailing, and in Marseille, where I was yesterday, and in particular, of course, at the fencing in the Grand Palais, which is the peak of everything I could experience with regard to fencing. I may even say you have never seen fencing until you have seen the fencing in the Grand Palais. Thousands of people cheering and singing for every competitor in this magnificent setting, and with a unique presentation of the athletes. So I'm already looking forward to go back there tomorrow, when the most important of all of the fencing events is taking place, for not to say in the games, the team foil event, then tomorrow evening, if you want to say, my own event there in the games. And the triathlon was sensational, or should I say sensational? I don't know if it works, but I gave it a try, you know. At least say it was a good try. If you, the athletes love it. And these Olympic Games are clearly about the athletes. This overall excitement, what I'm referring to, is a two-way street. You know, the athletes, with their passion and their unprecedented quality of the competition, inspire the audience, and the audience lifts the spirit of the athletes. And therefore, I cannot remember having seen so many close competitions and so many tight decisions like we have had it here in Paris. This is also proof that all the efforts we undertake with Olympic solidarity, along with the development programs of many international federations, are clearly leveling the playing field. And this is a strong encouragement for us at our Olympic solidarity, that we are on the right track to have increased this Olympic solidarity budget for the next Olympiad to $650 million to level the playing field even more. Managing this overwhelming success of these Olympic Games Paris 2024 is a high-quality Olympic performance by itself, and a high-quality Olympic performance by the organizing committee, the workforce, the security teams, the volunteers, and everyone else involved working for these games. And I would like to express my sincere and heartfelt thanks to each and every one of them, and would be very pleased, Tony, if you could pass it on to everybody in your teams and around your teams. They show in their way Olympic spirit at its best. All this creates a magic that inspires the world. The broadcast and digital figures are going through the roof. To give you a few examples, France, 83.3 audience share for the opening ceremony. In the US, the NBC streaming platform Peacock already topped the total of Tokyo 2020 and Beijing 22 combined after just 3 days of the Games. Warner Brothers Discovery, the rights holder for Europe, exceeded the total unique streaming viewers for Tokyo in just the first 2 days of the Games. In Japan, after less than a week, 82.7% of the total Japanese audience has watched the Olympic Games. On the Olympic social media handles alone, just on these Olympic social media handles, more than 8.5 billion engagements have been counted to date, already 40% more than during the entire Tokyo 2020 period. And all these audiences benefit from the incredible images going to the world from OBS and through our media rights holders. Therefore, we can say with a great confidence we are on track for more than half of the entire world's population to follow the Olympic Games Paris 2024. These are the first Games delivered under the reforms of Olympic agenda. More sustainable, more urban, more inclusive, more youthful. The first Olympic Games with full gender parity on the field of play. If you listen to the athletes, you realize for them the Olympic Village is a real home away from home. And in the village, our mission to unite the world in peaceful competition is brought to life. You have the athletes from all the territories of the 206 NOCs and the IOC Refugee Olympic Team living together under this one roof peacefully in the Olympic Village. And in this world torn apart by wars and conflicts, we remain the only event in the world that can bring the entire world together at this moment. And this is a mission we got from our founder, Pierre de Coubertin, and this is a mission that Paris 2024 is about to deliver. But we are not there yet. As Olympians, Tony and I know very well, it's halftime, and the results will be counted until after the last whistle. And second halftime can be still full of surprises. But we are also confident enough that after the performance of the first week, we can live up to all the surprises that may expect us, and that we can also then cross the finish line with an excellent result. So altogether, everything at this moment is in place for Olympic Games Paris 2024 to be Olympic Games of a new era. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Quelques mots aussi de mon côté pour vous souhaiter la bienvenue pour cette conférence de presse à
Mr. President, just a few words from me to welcome you to this press briefing. We're 8 days into the Games. We're a few days away from the closing ceremony, as you may have understood, for Paris 2024. It's a huge honor to be able to take on the thread of the Olympic Games 100 years after the first Olympic Games that took place in Paris, to be able to hold this universal event. For a few years, the organizing teams have been working hard in order to be able to showcase the best of this country with particularly ambitious games, which we wanted to offer with spectacular games. We wanted to create an exceptional event to showcase the best of the country in order to shed the spotlight on the athletes' performances. But we are also committed Games. We want to show a new delivery model in order to also take on the challenges of our times. I'm really happy because our country, France, has been able to showcase over the first week its capacity to organize major events. And when we're able to federate and bring people together, we can bring out the best in people and put it at the service of the success of the Olympic Games, to showcase the best of France and of the Games. And as the president of the IOC, Thomas was saying a second ago, the athletes and the spectators are bringing a lot to our country as well. What we've been experiencing for the past week is historical. There's something incredible that's happening.
Alors peut-être quelques images rapidement à partager avec vous des jeux spectaculaires.
Let me show you just a few pictures that I'd like to share with you. Spectacular Games. We were ambitious. We chose competition venues in Paris and in the Île-de-France region in order to show Paris, a capital city that has incredible legacy and incredible heritage. These pictures have been seen by hundreds of millions of people around the world. They will be spectacular images and remain spectacular images of Paris 2024. It's not only in Paris, it's across France. We've seen spectacular images of what happened in Marseille, in Tahiti. Again, this simply demonstrates that the whole country is mobilized in order to deliver exceptional games in exceptional sites. That's what we wanted right from the beginning. We wanted to showcase incredible sites to also offer the best landscape for athletes. And we see also the fervor in our stadiums and in France, and it was exceptional what happened over the first week in the different competition venues. The fervor, the atmosphere, that is extremely heartwarming to the French people, but also to spectators across the world that are sharing historical moments with a lot of spectators. We've had over 2 million spectators in our Paris 2024 venues, 1.6 million across France, 400,000 in the celebration sites in Paris alone. So beyond the venues, we're talking about people who come together outside of the competition venues in order to experience the magic of the Games in celebration zones or areas, as you can see here. So Parc des Nations is one of them at La Villette, where we had over 400,000 people who came together to celebrate. The Champions Park as well, with incredible traffic as well. And the atmosphere is just very, very nice, an incredible mindset there as well. Another word on the cauldron. It was a major success. 160,000 bookings in order to take pictures around the cauldron, and this does not include all the people, and we're talking about tens of thousands of people who were around the secured perimeter around the cauldron. Traffic has been incredible. people want to see this beautiful and symbolic
un vrai enthousiasme, une billetterie aussi qui fonctionne très bien. Vous le savez, on a déjà battu le record
ticketing has been incredible as well.
de billetterie pour les Jeux Olympiques.
We beat the record sales for ticket sales in the Olympic Games, and it continues. We're really happy. There are still a few tickets left. I think we've reached 93% of sales rate. And we continue to get opportunities on the platform, on the ticketing platform, so feel free to take a look at it. Now, a few pictures of our athletes, because we've experienced historical times in our country, of course, with legendary French athletes that were either confirmed or discovered, and we're really happy to be able to experience this as a nation, as the President was mentioning, with record broadcasting rates, a lot of spectators watching the games. We'd like to really thank the athletes for these incredible moments that they've allowed us to experience. Simone Biles, Jessica Fox, for instance. This is the second most important discipline after fencing, of course. I was really impressed also by Jess's performance this week as well, and I'd like to congratulate her today. Just a few words. Beyond the fact that we really wanted to make these games spectacular, it was also really important for Paris 2024 to use the momentum of the games to make progress on important topics. I'd like to mention three, specifically, of course, the environment, with the river Seine that brought a lot of media coverage, but it's incredible to be able to offer a major legacy for this region with a healthier river that is no longer as polluted as it used to be, and that people can actually swim in starting next summer. So it's incredible to see the power of the games. There was another challenge, as mentioned by the President, on the role of women's sports. Here you have a picture of women's rugby with 60,000 spectators. It was a record for any women rugby match, be it rugby sevens or not. It was really important for the IOC, for the international federations, for France, for PS 2024 to be mobilized collectively in order to give more visibility to women's sports. And clearly the spectators are there, and that's really nice to see. Beyond the athletes' participation, where we have gender equality, we also want to have exceptional atmosphere for men and for women. This is something that we were really ambitious on. We chose large venues for most sports, and we're really happy to see that spectators also come for women's competitions. And one last word, this is probably one of the most beautiful or most touching image. We know that the games have a role to play in order to inspire the next generation, to make them want to take on sports, and that was what we wanted in our legacy. And we know now that there's a whole new generation of kids who are going to want to do more sports than they used to. And we worked really hard with the French public entities, with the clubs of federations, so that in France we could also welcome new athletes in the future. A lot of us have started the games. That was my history, at least, because I watched the games on TV first, and then that's what made me want to do a sport and then compete. And this is a major challenge for the planet and for all of us. And I would like to thank you and thank, just like Thomas Bach has just done, all of the IOC, the teams of the IOC. So far it's been going really well. We've been able to work hand in hand since the beginning of this adventure. And I would like also to thank specifically the 45,000 volunteers that we've had. They're smiling, they're passionate, they're incredible, and their energy clearly contributes to this fervor and the atmosphere. The staff, there's only one person on the screen on this picture here, but I can tell you that we're really proud of how professional the Paris 2024 teams have proven to be, and they really offer the best experience to the athletes and all the stakeholders of the Games. I'd like to thank them. We're only halfway through the Games, so we want to continue to be focused all the way until the end. And I can only concur with what the President has said. It is not done yet. We have this incredibly positive momentum right now, but we also already know that there will be a lot of challenges to take on in order to succeed in these Games. Super Saturday is a very intense day. It will probably be the most intense day with a lot of operations on different venues, transitions that are already starting for the second week. So this is a pivotal day. The teams are hard at work already. Just a few words about what's to come. Athletics, track and field, that started last night, in a full stadium. It was magical, and we have an incredible night tonight with the finals of the 100, or 400 rather. Boxing, tennis in Roland Garros. We can't wait. We'll have breaking as well at Concorde. And we cannot wait to be able to offer this kind of moments to you as well. And the mass population marathon, which is a specificity of this edition of the Games. The day before the closing ceremony, we have a lot of people who have registered already, and the closing ceremony is going to be just as exceptional as the opening ceremony. And again, we cannot wait to show it to you. There's still a lot of opportunities and tickets. Feel free to tell people around you. It is going to be an exceptional ceremony. And of course, we know that the Games will continue with the Paralympic Games. And we have just as much ambition with just as incredible venues with the Eiffel Tower venue for blind football, for instance, but all the Paris 2024 Olympic Games venues will be used for the Paralympics, and there will be tickets available. Feel free to talk about it around you, because a lot of people around us think, oh, well, I probably missed an opportunity to attend a competition for the Olympic Games, but there are still tickets available for the Paralympic Games, and we will focus to make sure that we offer the best Paralympic Games as well. Thank you very much. This is it for me.
Questions. Let's start in the middle here with Carlos Grohmann, please, from Reuters.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm going to spoil the festive atmosphere. I'm asking you about boxing. There's been these two incidents in the last few days, and as long as these women keep on winning, this issue will remain in the forefront. How do you feel about how it has been projected up to now, and what do you think the IOC can do to put an end to this ongoing gender dispute? Thank you.
To put an end, that's more up to you than up to us. Let's be very clear here. We are talking about women's boxing, and we have two boxers who are born as women, who have been raised as a woman, who have a passport as a woman, and who have competed for many years as women. And this is the clear definition of a woman. There was never any doubt about them being a woman. What we see now is that some want to own the definition of who is a woman. And there I can only invite them to come up with a scientific-based, a new definition of who is a woman, and how can somebody being born, raised, competed, and having a passport as a woman cannot be considered a woman. If they are coming up with something, we are ready to listen. We are ready to look into it. but we will not take part in a politically motivated, sometimes politically motivated cultural war. And allow me to say that what is going on in this context in the social media with all this hate speech, with this aggression and abuse, and fueled by this agenda, is totally unacceptable.
Okay. I think Wakako wanted to ask a question. Wakako.
Thank you, President. Wakako Yuki from the Yomiuri Shimbun. Good morning. One follow-up and one question, if I may. Yes, also sad part about this saga is that it's not exactly athletes' fault. Would you share your thoughts on human rights of the athletes participating in a competition, of course, coupled with how to keep the fairness in it? Also, we had Court of Arbitration Sport decision yesterday regarding Beijing figure skating team medal. And for the medal awarding ceremony, would you be inviting bronze medalist? Thank you.
Now, you know, when you speak about human rights then you have the human right of every woman to participate in a women's competition. And this has also been highlighted, you know, by many organizations, federations, and I also would like to quote here the Italian boxer who was competing against the Algerian the female boxer. She said, you know, these controversies have definitely made me sad, and I feel sorry for my opponent, who is also only here to fight. I have nothing against Khelif. If I met her again, I would hug her. And I think this explains it all, and this is what the Olympic spirit is about. The respect for your opponent, whether you win or whether you lose. And by the way, both of these women have lost a number of fights. Iman has lost alone 9 fights in international competitions in the recent years, and there was never an issue about this. She has even been invited by the Italian Boxing Federation to train with her Italian fellow athletes in Italy, and there was no issue about this.
Medals, President. There was a question about the medals, the medal allocation.
With the figure skating, with regard to the CAS decision yesterday, we have taken note of this decision, and of course the IOC will, as always, respect the CAS decision.
Okay, we're going to go. Sorry, President. We're going to go to Rob Harris, then we're going to go to a lady there. Yeah, we're going to.
Hi, Rob Harris from Sky News. Disinformation has been mentioned a lot at these games, particularly in the context of these two boxers. Do you believe the Russian state could be involved in sowing doubts over the gender status of the boxers, trying to stoke disruption in some form?
I cannot there make this precise, but what we have seen, you know, from the Russian side, and in particular from the International Federation, from which we had to withdraw the recognition for many reasons that they have undertaken already way before these games with a defamation campaign against France, against the games, against the IOC. And they have made a number of comments in this respect, which I do not want to repeat, to give them not too much honor. So if you want to have an idea about the credibility of information coming from these not anymore recognized international federations, I can only suggest to you look into the comments they and the leaders of this federation have made recently, and then make your own judgment.
You mentioned the culture war aspect. There have been calls for consistency. Does the IOC believe that any athlete who lives as a woman should be allowed to compete in women's sport without their status being questioned?
Every woman who is, according to the rules, a woman, then has to be allowed. And the definition of who is a woman, and to ensure the fairness of the competition, for this we have our framework in place. This needs a scientific base, and this has to be carefully evaluated, and this is the only base on which you can find or come to a proper decision. You will not come to a proper decision if you organize a poll in the social media. Do you think this person is a woman or is not a woman? And everybody in our world apparently feels obliged to say everything to anything, without really considering the sometimes very complex circumstances.
Thank you. Yeah, lady at the back there is eager to ask a question. We'll come to Frankfurt after that. Yeah.
Bonjour, Tamara Potocka de la télévision de Radio-Canada. Bonjour, désolée de vous faire répéter, mais j'aimerais vous entendre en français sur la déferlante de propos qui remettent en question.
Can you maybe talk about the identity of the Algerian boxers, and what are the comments that you said that will there be sanctions for the athletes that are going to continue doubting or continue shedding doubt with regards to her sex? For example, Hungarian athletes who have made comments, how are you going to, she is allowed to compete in the Olympic Games, so how are you going to ensure that she can too? You spoke about, Sonia Stange, you spoke about the fact that we're going to open up these games, the games wide open, but what about the threats that we've received? Are you going to be...
I think we have to respect here all your colleagues who may be interested in the answer to this question as well. I can only refer you to the statement having been issued by the National Boxing Federation of Canada, who is expressing clearly the respect, for this decision and for these two boxers. And what I think about the hate speech going on in the social media, I think I have explained very clearly.
No, for the athletes themselves, not the social media, saying I will not lose my fight. In
the social media, there are not only athletes, and I will not comment on each single comment of the many million comments in the social media. What is going on there with this hate speech is unacceptable for anyone who is using hate speech.
Tony.
Oui, merci. Concernant la question sur la cérémonie d'ouverture et votre question, moi ce que je peux vous dire, c'est que forcément, du côté de Paris 2024, on condamne fermement
Paris 2024 side, we obviously condemn without exception all of these threats, all of this harassment that there has been towards Thomas Joly and all of the different artists that were involved in the opening ceremony. We are here to support the extraordinary team that gave us such a delight of an opening ceremony with an extraordinary moment. It was daring, it was bold, it was difficult to pull off, and this is something that will mark history until the end of time. This is linked to the genius, the talent of Thomas Joly and all of the different artists that were involved in the ceremony. And obviously it goes without saying there is no reason to explain or to justify the wave of criticism and the wave of harassment that showered down upon the team. We 100% support this team, the team that is continuing to work hard, obviously, to prepare the ceremony that is looming. I don't really have anything else to add. I think that Thomas Joly has already taken the floor several times to give his 2 cents. The idea was to bring together people, to unite. It was very clearly expressed in the media guide that was shared prior to the opening ceremony with regards to everything that he was trying to achieve. And if people felt that they were offended, we are obviously sorry for this, but from the organizing committee point of view, we completely 100% support Thomas Joly and all of his teams, and we condemn strongly all those who allow themselves to harass these artists. Thank you.
Man in the red top.
Et bonjour, une question pour Tony. Est-ce qu'il y a un effet aux Jeux Olympiques sur la billetterie des Jeux paralympiques, comme tu l'espérais, et si oui,
the Paralympic Games, has this had a knock-on effect on the Paralympic Games ticketing, and do you have figures for the tickets sold for Paralympics? Yes, thank you very much. Since the beginning of these games, there has been a snowball effect. We are continuing to sell tickets not only for the Olympic Games, but which is great. We have got about 30,000 tickets inside a day, and we're delighted with this because there are still tickets up for grabs for this second week of the Olympic Games. Don't hesitate to snap them up for all of the different disciplines, as well as tickets available for the closing ceremony. And I can confirm that this has had a very positive effect on ticket sales for the Paralympic Games. We can see that this is taking off, and we are delighted to see this. We have about 1.5 million tickets left for sale, and there is still a lot of chances for an extraordinary Paralympic Games experience as well. We have wonderful venues, we have extraordinary athletes. We hope that there will be the same buzz in the stadiums, and that is why we want the mass public to be able to make the most of these.
And then 2 rows behind afterwards. Yeah, gentleman in the red top first. Yeah.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Président. Robert Frozy de Radio-Canada. Je vais vous faire pratiquer votre français, comme d'habitude.
Radio Canada, I'm going to make you practice your French once again. It is a cruel question, but when apart from fencing, were there any other athletes that caught your eye? Summer McIntosh in swimming, being a Canadian. So is there anyone that caught your eye? Maybe you could answer in French. We saw wonderful performances from extraordinary athletes. I cannot favor one over the other, but the first week of the Olympic Games confirmed that we are at the highest echelons where legends are made, where legends are born. We saw this during the first week many times, and this is why, as I've just mentioned, we think that these Olympic Games will be games for the athletes where they are basking in the accolade that they deserve.
Thank you very much. This is Jeff Wang from Radio Free Asia. My first question is about your standard of showing slogan in the menus. Yesterday, in the menu for semi-final men's double of badminton, there is one person, audience from Taiwan, showed up with a towel with Taiwan, the 2 words, Chinese words, on the towel, but the towel was grabbed by your staff. So what's your standard of showing the slogan in the menu? Do you think your staff has overdo it? The second question about your anti-doping policy. There's a lot of controversy about imposing anti-doping tests over Chinese swimming team. I want to know, are you still working on that? Especially after Pan Zhanle broke the world record the day before. Are you planning to do more such anti-doping tests over Chinese swimming team? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I can take the first one. Obviously, the terms, unless you want to, President, just to say that the terms on the ticketing apply. I can't speak about that specific issue. I hadn't seen it, but the terms are very clear on the ticketing. If you read the terms on the ticketing, I think it's pretty obvious. I don't want to talk about specifics, but I think that's pretty obvious. And your second question?
Is with the anti-doping, as you know, the IOC has delegated the entire anti-doping system to the International Testing Agency, which is under the authority of WADA, and all the sanctions to the CAS, to the CAS panels. They're in this respect, so it's up to these anti-doping entities, and when it comes to swimming, in particular, together with World Aquatics, to determine the decisions on anti-doping, to determine the number of tests, and in this way to ensure a fair Olympic Games for everybody.
Okay, gentleman here, then Tracy, I think, wanted to...
Bonjour, Bruno Fraioli de sportbusiness.club. J'ai deux petites questions. La première sur la qualité de l'eau par rapport aux épreuves de baignade.
The first is the following. It's about the water quality for the swimming. I know that there is a plan B, but what are the samples telling us from the Seine? And then we also see a lot of jerseys, a lot of the volunteer uniforms that are being sold on different websites. We know what they are. Do you have any comments to make with regards to this?
Alors, sur la première question, vous le savez, on est mobilisé pour
For the first question, we are all hands on deck for the triathlon, because we still have the triathlon relay that will take place at the beginning of next week. So we're focused on that. For that, we've got a window that's going right up until next Tuesday. We've got the familiarization exercises that weren't able to take place because of the storms that hit Paris, and we do not want to put the athletes' health at risk. But we are going to be continuing to look at samples from the Seine to look at water quality so that we can hopefully have the relay that still takes place in the Seine. But there's nothing really, there are no reasons that this couldn't occur. We were able to show last week with atmospheric conditions and climate conditions and rainfall as well, exceptional rainfall that hit Paris, that the water quality was still sufficient for the 2 days of triathlon. And we're looking at the weather forecast for this weekend. Things look to be going well. Therefore, I think we can have quite a cool head and a cool mind for the teams and also for ourselves that the discipline will go ahead, so that the relay, but also for the open water swimming. And what was the second? Do you want to take the second question? I didn't know that people were selling. No, we weren't aware of the fact, and we haven't actually seen any uniforms on for sale. It is an outfit that our volunteers love. It is something that helps them stand out for the crowd and stand out from the rest of Paris 2024 staff, and they like it. Therefore, it is obviously a work uniform, and I hope that they'll keep the uniform up until the end of their assignment here for Paris 2024, so that they can be part of the team. And obviously, this was gifted to them.
Tracy Holmes, Australian Radio Network and the Sports Ambassador podcast. I've got two questions, if that's all right. President Bach, the IBA has issued a statement saying they're going to financially reward the Italian boxer who pulled out of the fight against the Algerian. Will there be an IOC investigation, given you're running the boxing contest, regarding whether financial promises were made before that bout? And my second question is to Tony. Yesterday I saw on the television broadcast that you and President Macron were at the swimming pool to see the sensational superfish Léon Marchand win his 4th gold medal, and then miraculously you were at the BMX racing to see gold, silver, bronze to the French team, which again was amazing. So do you and the President have body doubles, or can you offer some advice on how we too can get quickly from venue to venue to be able to take in more action like that? Because it must rate as one of your fondest memories ever
okay, Tony,
in sport.
Come on now.
What's your secret, Tony? Let me actually take the first one. I think the President already made quite clear, but I mean, if anything, about the credibility, authority of the people leading the IBA and the claims they're making, I think you first, as the President said, need to take a look online at the comments that are being made there about the IOC, about the Games, about France, and also some abusive attacks. I mean, these people have no credibility, maybe in their own minds, but they have no credibility for anybody else, so we won't pay that any attention. And then for the nicer question, Tony's going to tell you how he teleports from one place to another.
Where's your avatar?
No, yesterday was a very important day for Team France, historic day, with the first, as you said and mentioned, 1, 2, 3 medalists, French medalists on the same event since one centenary, I guess. So it's been a historical moment. And yes, there are good things to be president of the organizing committee that I never experienced before, because usually I'm used to go by cycle in the venue from venue, but for the games. And yesterday evening, I had the privilege to be with President Macron, so it's a little bit faster. I confirm to go with the police to open the road to make sure that we will be on time. But it was a fantastic and unforgettable evening for all of us. Teddy Riner, Léon Marchand, and the BMX in 3 hours or 4 hours. What a day!
Okay, we're going to take 3 more questions. Jacqueline, gentleman there, and then a gentleman over there's been waiting a while.
Hi, President Bach. Jacqueline Magnay from the Australian newspaper. I'm just wondering, your earlier comments, and Mark has previously said you're not going to introduce or reintroduce gender testing, but I'm just wondering what the position of the IOC is on, in general, DSD athletes and trans women competing in these games. And people, if they identify as women on their passports, does that mean that they can compete in the women's category? And I'm also, are you comfortable with that? And I'm also wondering, are you comfortable that these games had a convicted child rapist of a 12-year-old girl participate, and whether you felt that undermined the reputation of these games?
I will not confuse the two issues. We are not talking about the transgender issue here. This is about a woman taking part in a woman's category, and for all the rest, the IOC framework, which is scientifically based, applies to all federations. This is available to everybody on the website, and the rules of the international federations are on the websites to be followed by everybody. But I repeat here, this is not a DSD case. This is about a woman taking part in a women's competition, and I think I have explained this now many times, and I would only like to ask really each and everybody to respect these women, and to respect them as women, and to respect them as human beings, and not their, coming in any way near to the confusion which some want apparently to create unintentionally. With regard to the Dutch player, this is a decision of the National Olympic Committee, which they have to take and which they have to justify.
Okay, we're going to take 2 more questions. Gentleman there, and then a gentleman at the back's been waiting a long time. Apologies to anyone else.
It's Guy Jackson from AFP. A question for President Bach. The IOC runs boxing now because of problems with the previous governance. Why not take, here's a suggestion, why not take the approach of World Athletics, which had trouble with athletes with very high, women athletes with high testosterone levels, and brought in a program where they have to undergo treatment for that to lower the testosterone levels, and then you do away with the doubt that you have at the moment with this boxing competition, because it is doubt. That's why we're still talking about it, to be quite honest, with respect. Just a little follow-up question: is boxing still, does it deserve its place in the next two Olympics after all this? Thank you.
Our approach is scientifically based. It is based on a broad consultation with everybody concerned in this. And this framework also explains very clearly the procedure international federations should follow when they establish their own rules. In order to respect, on the one hand, the human rights, and on the other hand, the priority what a sports federation has to do, a fair competition, and this is what the IOC has been doing also in this respect. And with regard to the second question, very clearly yes. Boxing is one of the most global sports. Boxing is a sport with high social values. When you look in the sociology of the boxers, then you see that in any country, many boxers tend to come from underprivileged parts of society, and boxing offers them many opportunities, not only on the field of play, but also off the field of play. And this is particularly true for women in countries where women's rights are not fully respected, or where the rights of women are not necessarily part of the culture in these countries. And this is why it is even more deplorable of what is happening with Iman there in the social media, because she also has made it very clear many times that she is standing there for the rights of the women in her country, and that boxing gives her the opportunity to express herself and also to gain the confidence to do so.
I believe I'm right in saying she's a UNICEF ambassador in her country. Just to add to that. Okay, final question there.
Cheers, Mark. Thanks. It's Geraint Hughes from Sky Sports in the UK. Question for the President. It's on the boxing again. Given the IBA still has significant influence within boxing, what does the boxing community need to do to pull away from it, to have a new recognised world federation, which I know is what you want, but how can that happen? How can you help that? And a follow-up question on that is, if need be, for Los Angeles 2028, as you say, you want boxing to remain in the Olympics, would you organise the boxing for a third successive Olympic Games if need be?
First of all, we want boxing in the program of the Olympic Games. This is the target. But the boxing can only be in the Olympic Games in LA if we have a reliable partner. So now the national boxing federations, they have to make their choice. It's up to them. If they want their athletes to win medals in Olympic Games in a fair competition with an international federation with a good reputation, with good governance, with a clear anti-doping policy, with financial transparency, then they must found an international federation as a partner for the IOC. It is in their hands and for their athletes to win medals if they want them to win medals. And so we are monitoring these different moves, but it's up to the national federations, of course, there to do what they think is good for their athletes. And then, if they are getting there, then we will look into it, and then the conditions for recognition will be the same as for the recognition of any other international federation.
Thank you very much. We're coming up to the hour mark, so thank you very much for the questions and thank you very much for the responses. We will see you at our normal time, Anne and I, at 11 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll bring along a few volunteers. Hopefully they've still got their uniforms. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Okay, and enjoy the games.